Is everyone okay if I start letting people in? Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're just going to give it a minute for folks to trickle in. Thanks for joining us on this hot evening. Right. We are going to get started. Welcome again, everyone. My name is Kat. I am the RTAG facilitator, and I am happy to welcome you all here today. Next slide, please. As you notice, this public meeting will be recorded. The MBTA may choose to retain and distribute the video, still images, audio, and/or transcript. By continuing attendance with this virtual public meeting, you consent to participate in a recorded event. If you're not comfortable being recorded, please turn off your camera and keep your microphone muted, or you may choose to excuse yourself from the meeting. Next slide. Great. Zoom directions for our ASL interpreters. Tonight we have Denise Martinez and Michael Hirschberg. We will be spotlighting the interpreters' videos. In general, to pin someone's video in Zoom, find the person's video in the gallery. In the top right corner of the interpreter's video, click the ellipses, then click the pin option.
Hello?
Keep the person's video visible on your screen. Next slide. All right. Tonight we have CART captioning. We have Darlene Rodella, who will be providing captioning. To access in the meeting controls toolbar, click Show Captions. And a tip is to click and drag the captions to move them where you want them in the meeting window. And we do have a link to view the CART transcript in your web browser that was just placed in the chat. So let us know if you are not able to access that. And then if you're using the captions on the Zoom to adjust the size, in the meeting controls toolbar next to Show Captions, you click the up arrow, then click Caption Settings, and next to Font Size, move the slider to adjust the caption size slider. If you need some help with Zoom at any time, or you have a technical question, please use the chat function and we will attempt to troubleshoot your problem and get back to you. All right, so I believe it's time. Yes, Ali just wrote in the chat if we could also spotlight the person speaking, and I definitely didn't spotlight myself, so thank you so much, Ali, for that reminder. And I will do my best to spotlight those who will be providing comment and presenting as well. Okay, so I am just going to give a very quick update. Really, it's more of like a call to action. Before I pass it on, because we have some exciting things to go over today. So let me just pull this up for everyone. I did just have it up. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that I don't misspeak. So, okay, great. So I just wanted to let people know and ask people to join us next Wednesday. The Boston Center for Independent Living and the City of Boston's Disability Commission are hosting a rally and march on July 23rd, which is Wednesday, to mark the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. We will meet at 12 p.m. at Boston City Hall Plaza. and then lead a march from City Hall Plaza to the Embrace in Boston Common. There will be a flag raising on City Hall Plaza, and then that will be followed by the march and roll to the Boston Common, and then a rally at the Embrace Monument. There will be ASL and cart provided, and an MBTA bus will be there with air conditioning available for cooling, and water will also be available. So bring a bottle for refills, and we will have interpretation and all of that. So this event will take place, rain or shine. So we hope to see you all there, and feel free to let me know if you have any questions about that. And that was a very quick ask for people, and then I'm just going to keep it moving. So next slide. Oh, I realized that there was just a slide. Okay, I should go through the agenda first for everyone. I gave the update. That was the first thing. Then we're going to pass it to Michelle Styler, the Chief of Paratransit Services, to give updates from the ride. And then we will end with system-wide accessibility with Laura Brelsford giving updates, and then we'll have feedback for system-wide accessibility. So you can skip this slide and that one. Okay, great. I'm going to hand it over to Michelle. Take it away.
Okay, great. So I just want to do a sound check because I know that my laptop volume has some issues. Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're coming in loud.
Great, great. So
This
I'm
is
going to
Stevie
start
Ray,
the way.
by the way.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. And I see that we have a fair representation from the RTAG team. I appreciate everyone's time tonight. I'm going to start the way we usually do with some updates about performance. And it's all good news right now, and I think things are only going to look better. The back end of the presentation, you're going to hear from some of my team members that don't normally present. So I will ask them to introduce themselves. I am going to hand off to, it looks like we may have Chris, Elizabeth, and Megan speaking about spare implementation efforts. Information about some policy changes largely driven by the new software implementation, communication efforts, both what we're doing presently and what we're planning. And then we'll have an online booking demo, trip booking demo. So we're pretty excited tonight. I am going to go pretty quickly, but I will ensure that this information is shared with Kat, who can distribute it to digest it and ask questions, whether it's later today or following this meeting. Okay, we're on the first slide. So ridership continues to trend up year over year. And I took a look at June 2024 versus June 2025, and we're up 18,000 trips. Of those, 10,000 are RideFlex trips. We go to the next slide. And my apologies, it's worth mentioning. We have two charts that trend data for the period of ride on time performance for January through December of 2024. Excuse me, I misspoke. A comparison of 2024 and 2025. So here we are, we continue to exceed on-time performance goals. We have also kept trips that exceed 120 minutes, much lower than prior years. Certainly at a minimum, all of those trips that are excessively late are audited. Spare software will provide improved tools for monitoring and adjusting trips in real time. If we go to the next slide. There are two graphs here. The one to the left displays call volume. And I always think it's important to highlight this. For the month of June, we exceeded 100,000 phone calls. And the average hold time was 0.33 minutes, which is about 20 seconds, and well below our 2-minute goal. If we go to the next slide. Customer complaints are trended on this slide for the period of July 2024 through June of 2025. We've seen a slight decline from April through June. They're measured in complaints per 1,000 trips. We received 2.09 complaints per 1,000 trips. And if we move on to the next slide, I believe Elizabeth?
I got this one, Michelle.
Chris has it. Okay, thank you, Chris.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Jurek, Deputy Chief of Paratransit Services here at the RIDE, and I'm excited to share some of the news that some of you may have heard, but that we have at the end of last year awarded a new contract for a new software system for the RIDE and are in the process of implementing that currently. Before we get into some more information about that, I wanted to at least remind everyone of sort of the process we got here. We had a lengthy procurement process, one of the longer ones I've been involved with here at my time at the T. We released what we call a request for proposals, an RFP, towards the end of 2022 to replace our current software system with a new software system. And for those of you, our transportation management system, or TMS software, is what really powers how we run the RIDE. It's what allows us and track to book trips, to schedule them, to route them on the day of service, and for our dispatch to function and drivers to navigate between points when they're providing service. So it really is the heart of everything we do with the RIDE. Part of the reason this was a fairly long procurement process was because it was a very rigorous process. We went through multiple rounds during the procurement of testing with the shortlisted bidders. We did a number of simulations. We did some sort of scheduling simulations to see how their respective scheduling engines work and compared, as well as some actual what we call on-the-road tests. So using drivers in our vehicles, basically pretending to deliver service using the platforms. We also did site visits to other agencies to see what they're doing and see how the systems performed in action. And so that was a lot of effort. And it's here I should call out David Kingsbury as a member of the RTAG subcommittee here, who was a part of this process and stuck with us with the 2 years it took to get us through it. And we did, on December of 2024, finally award a contract for the new software system to a company called Spare. Since December, we have been working with them to go through the process of testing their platform, as we call it, validating it, configuring it to align with our operations, our various policies, the specifics of running transportation in the greater Boston area, and a number of other things. Over that time, we have been sharing updates with the RTAG subcommittee especially, and we are very excited to announce that we now officially have a target launch date of August 30th this year. And we are, again, excited about what Spare will bring to our operations. Yes, we talked about there's a lot of efficiencies, we think, in terms of our ability of how to schedule and route trips. But Spare will also be allowing us to implement a number of significant customer-facing improvements that we are also very excited about bringing to our customers. Next slide. So summary of the main experiences, improvements here for customers. The first is a vastly improved online booking experience. We will have a new, what we are calling our web app, that will allow customers to book trips, to track vehicles and the status of their trips. Customers will also be able to update some of their profile information directly, as well as, I think what I'm very excited about is a much more robust ability to opt in and out of certain types of notifications. So your we will have a trip booking confirmation. So shortly after you book a trip, you can get a phone call, a text, or an email displaying that information so you can confirm the booking is accurate. We will also be offering the same sort of phone, texting, email options for trip notifications, as well as a new type of notification, a low balance alert, which you can set up to trigger when your account fare balance is below $10. And another couple of big improvements here is that the web app will allow you to book trips to and from anywhere in the service area. You will no longer be confined only to your 10 favorite addresses. And because it's powered by Google Maps, it does a great job of allowing you to search by business names as well as addresses. And we found in a bunch of testing that the actual locations that it will pick for us are going to be far better than what we have currently. Additionally, we have sorry, one more point. We will be launching at sometime in the near future a smartphone app. This will not be a feature we will be going live with on day one, but we expect that that we will be able to roll that out as well in the near future. Next slide. And with that, I will hand it over to Megan Ackerman.
Hi, everyone. Megan Ackerman. I'm the Deputy Director of Communications here at the RTAG. So as Chris mentioned, we've been spending the past few months working with Spare to configure the software. And that's also given us an opportunity to look at some of our procedures and policies and figure out, what was being done a certain way because of the software we have now, what might need to be done a different way because of how Spare works, and just what are some things that maybe we want to take the opportunity to improve or make more clear. There are going to be more communications coming out later this summer with much more information about some of the changes customers will see. But a few things we just wanted to point out tonight for people to start thinking about as we get ready for the software launch. Now, instead of a promised time, you'll get a 30-minute pickup window. And unlike now, where you need to wait for the night before your trip to get a phone call with that time, you'll have that pickup window as soon as you book the trip, whether you book it online or if you're calling in to track, the reservationist will give that to you. So at that point, you'll also know if the timing doesn't work out and you want to try to do a trip negotiation or change your time a little bit, you'll be able to do that right away. There are also some changes coming to account funding. There's now going to be a maximum balance that you can carry of $200. Customers won't be able to go into the negative or book a trip if it would send you into the negative. There'll be a $10 minimum when you add funds to the account. And something else worth mentioning, one of the cool features that Chris didn't mention is there is now an option to do an auto top up. So you could set your account up so that if it dropped to a certain amount, maybe $15, you add $10 or $15 automatically, which I think will be really helpful for people who take subscription trips or travel a lot. You won't have to worry about making sure that you top up your account before you schedule those trips. As Chris mentioned, we have these exciting new self-service features coming, the online booking and web app. So the way you'll sign on to those is via a code being sent to your phone number. You'll have the option to get it as a text or a voice call, and you'll log in once, and so you won't need to remember a username and password. Because you'll be logging in with your phone number, if you want to use those services, you need to have a unique phone number listed as your primary phone number. We're going to do some outreach coming up here in the next few weeks to customers who we know share phone numbers, so they can start planning and deciding how they want to manage that. And we'll also be sharing more information about ways that you can update your contact information if you want to make a different phone number that primary phone number. Also, a little bit about the communications that we've been doing around Spare. Earlier this year, after the award, we sent out some initial communications, just letting people know that the award had happened and that more information would be coming soon. In May, we shared some more information about some of the features we were excited about in Spare, as well as some existing self-service options we had, like Ride Along and the online option to add funds to your account. We're going to have another all customer communication going out in August. That'll go out by mail, email, and we'll also get a condensed version onto the vehicles. That will include more details about all of the upcoming changes and information on how you can access new features. We're planning, as I mentioned, we already started some targeted outreach to customers with who share contact information, as well as customers who currently have negative balances. As we get a little closer, we're going to do some targeted messaging to people who are using our current online booking system and Ride Along, our vehicle tracking tool, just so they're aware of the change coming, and we'll share information about how they can switch over to those services. Also, when we launch, we are going to have a temporary call-in helpline that folks can call into if they need a little extra support, setting up the app or a web account, logging in, and going over the basics. So we are really excited about what is coming. And in a minute, we're going to turn it over to Spare to do a demo, but just wanted to ask if there were any questions for either Chris or myself.
Thank you, Megan and Chris. Yes, Grace has a question. Grace, I see you wrote it in the chat, but you also have your hand raised. Feel free to share it either way.
Yeah, thank you very much. This question has to do with vulnerable populations, inclusivity, and those that are just having a lot of social determinants of health challenges. If we're being conscious of inclusivity, a $10 minimum and logging in with phone numbers, I can see creates potential barriers for vulnerable populations who are experiencing challenges such as financial challenges, homelessness, and even domestic violence, where these things can cause problems to, access, as well as being able to maintain their lifestyle that they're already struggling with. In what ways have you guys talked about addressing that problem, if you guys did, and where can we go from here? Thank you.
Yes, I can address some of those. So I'll start with the $10 minimum. Important to point out, we are still maintaining our current payment options aside from the online credit card payments, meaning customers are still able to use the Charlie Service Center to top up their accounts using any payment method that they will accept: cash, check, money order, things like that. As well as I maintain the current option to mail in checks to the MBTA. As for the phone numbers, I mean, I would agree. It makes logging in easier for some people, and for others, it makes more of a challenge. I would point out we are not removing the option to call track to continue booking trips. That will continue to exist in its current form. So there will be no change there. So that's those are the, I think the steps we think will help mitigate some of these challenges.
That will not ever mitigate the challenges. That you just stated again, what you have in place is what you're not changing. I'm talking about how we're going to be addressing the issues that people are already facing, which are homelessness, where you will sometimes lose your phone or it's stolen from you and you can't get it back. People that are dealing with economic issues, serious impoverishment, where you may not be able to have $10 bare minimum to put on that card. And if that's what's going on, people will not have access to use these services to get about in the city. So I'm asking, in what ways will you be thinking about considering and strongly suggesting that you guys think about that? Because we cannot talk about inclusivity just for those who can afford it. We also have to be mindful of those who cannot and will not, especially due to these times. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I will point out that, the RIDE rolled out and part of the larger MBTA rollout of reduced fare programs including the income eligible reduced fare program in September. We also rolled out for the first time ever, including the RIDE in the senior reduced fare program as well. So in the less than year, we have greatly expanded access for customers of the RIDE to reduced fare programs. And currently, I believe the number is close to 60% of our customers are enrolled in either of those reduced fare programs. But your point is still well taken.
They were on, so I couldn't even get.
Thank you, Grace, for your question, and thank you, Chris, for your response. Rebecca?
Yes. My question is one about the reduced fare cards that we're supposed to be able to use. How is this new software going to affect the use of those cards?
Sure.
So if
Go ahead,
you're,
Megan.
oh, sorry, Chris.
Nope.
If you're currently enrolled in one of the reduced fare programs, either the senior fare or the income-based fare, that'll carry over with your account data when we make the switch. If you're not signed up and you think you might qualify for one of those, you would just go through the same application process that exists now, and eventually that would get linked to your RIDE account and you'd be able to get that discounted fare.
Okay, thank you, because I do have it linked. I was just worried it might not work with the new software.
It should, and if it doesn't, please put in a ticket through customer support, and we will make sure that your fares are being charged correctly.
Now, right now, my question is, are we sticking to this particular subject or can we talk about other stuff?
Are you talking about the RIDE in general?
The RIDE in general.
I believe we're gonna have a discussion period at the end of the entire presentation, so just hold on to your
Okay.
question.
That's fine with me. I'll be here.
Great, thanks, Rebecca. All right, and then Grace just added one more comment in the chat. We have to be mindful of people being eligible for the reduced fare, but still can't afford it. Thank you, Grace, for bringing that up.
Now I'm going to hand it over to Tomas, who is our helping us launch our project at Spare. He's going to do a walkthrough of the online booking system, so you can kind of see how that process will go once those features are live. So thanks, Tomas.
Hello, thank you. Thank you all for letting me attend and letting me show off Spare. Very excited that we are at this point and we're going to very soon have access to use our software. As Chris mentioned, there are some very nice improvements coming with this that I'm hoping to share with you guys all today. So give me a second here and I'm going to ask to share my screen here. Perfect, I think now I can. So let's start at the beginning here. There's going to be two things when it comes to Spare that you guys should be considering. First off, there is going to be a new and improved web based app. So you can open this in the browser on your computer or any mobile device as well. But on the mobile side, we're also going to release a dedicated mobile app that you're going to be able to download from the app stores. So if you have an Android, you'll be able to go on the Google Play Store and download it, or if you're on iOS, you can go on the Apple App Store and you'll be able to download the ride when that's ready. What you see right now in front of you is going to be the updated new web application. So this is where you can log into your browser and manage your trips. So a couple of things that Chris had been talking about earlier. One of them, with the current system, you're limited to having only 10 locations saved, which you can book to. With the new web app, you can just type in the bar here and you can use any address that's out there pretty much. We pull directly from Google. So we can pull any address that's on Google, which is pretty much all of them. If there are any issues though with an address that you're trying to use, Google is very good about accepting new data. So you can go to Google directly and submit address changes, or that's something that we're going to keep an eye on as well. So if you report any issues, we can take a look at that. So let's start from here. So I'm going to select where I'm booking my trip from and where I want to book my trip to. As you can see, there's a couple of options already here below. So I can select this top button to select my current location. On the mobile app, this will always be the default. So it's always going to default to your current location, but then you can always change it. Below that are some favorite addresses that I've added in. So you can add as many favorite addresses to this system as you'd like. So you're no longer limited to those 10, but also now you can book to any address. So it's not going to be quite as important. And then below that, you can see recent addresses that I've booked trips to. So it's going to have recent ones, it's going to have your favorites, and then you can always use your current location. So on the where from, why don't I just start with, let's say, Target. Because we're using Google, you can search for an address or you can search for the name of a location. And if Google has that, we can pull that address. So for example, here, I search Target Quincy. Look at that, select that, and now I've selected my pickup location. For my drop-off location, let's say I want to go to 10 Park Plaza. So I start typing in the address and it starts showing me the relevant addresses that are near me. So in this case, I want the top one, so I'll select that. Perfect. So it's confirming now. Now I'm confirming my starting point where I want to get picked up from. I can add a pickup note here if I need to include some additional instructions for the driver. Please use the back entrance as an example. We'll hit save. Now that I've confirmed my location, it's going to give me some estimates here, which is always fun when it doesn't work for you on a live demo here. So just bear with me one quick second. Gonna refresh my page. Okay, that's fine. So let's try again with some addresses. Get back to, oh, you know what? That's my mistake here. Okay, here we go. So now we should be okay. Or we're not. One second here. Let me make sure I have my selections correct here. Let's see if. Okay, bear with me one second.
You know, if you need me to help anything, Tomas.
I think I might have just messed up here when I was setting it. So let's just make sure. Oh, you know what? Here we go. I need to select when I want to book my travel for. So let's choose our date and time. It's following the same rules as before. So you need to make sure you book your trip for 5 p.m. the day before. So let's say tomorrow I want to book a trip for 4 p.m. And we can select two options here. So, and you can see here, it's going to warn you at the top that you need to book your trip before 5 p.m. the day before. So, actually I'll need to, yeah, make sure I select the right. Yeah, okay, perfect. So if I select Saturday, that's going to work for me. So we can pick two trip types. We can choose where to select our pickup time or our drop off time. So if we have a trip, if we have to make an appointment, we can select arrive by. If we want to make sure we get picked up at a certain time, we can select leave at. Here I can click confirm. And there we go. So it's going to show me some options. There's going to be some fun changes here as well. So if you are part of the program where you can get a trip with Uber and Lyft, you now have the option to choose not to on a per trip basis when you're booking through the web portal or through the mobile app. So you can see that these are the two options that are being presented to me here. So if I just select the ride, there's a chance because I'm part of that program that I may get picked up by an Uber or Lyft driver. And if I don't want that for this trip, I can select the second option here, and that's going to ensure that that does not happen. Below are some additional options I can select. So I can select the passengers that will be on this trip. So for me, it's one adult, and we'll say one personal care attendant with me. And then for my accessibility requirements, let's say one wheelchair. Confirm that. It'll update my estimates here. And we can go ahead and we'll select the first one here because I just want to ride with the ride. And let's select that. So now it's going to confirm. This is what it looks like. It's giving me my windows. So as Megan had mentioned earlier, we're now going to be switching to a 30-minute pickup window. So, oops, I did not mean to click on that, but you can see that. And then here as well, if we want to update those pickup and drop off notes, we can do that on this screen. And then we click the big blue button and it's scheduled our ride. So now that trip is scheduled and I can come into the app and see all of my upcoming scheduled trips. So you can schedule as many trips as you need to, up to 5 days in advance, again, following the same rules as we currently are. And really quickly, if I want to book my return trip, I can go ahead and select that. And it's automatically going to be selecting my starting address. So it's going to book the reverse trip that we did before. We can click confirm on that as well. Again, double check that I want the right, which of these options I want to select. We can double check the time and my accessibility options again as well. So let's say, yes, I want to be picked up maybe at 7 p.m. So let's confirm that, select, and again, schedule. So now I've just quickly booked 2 trips back to back. I got my trip out there and my trip returning home as well. On the app, you can also quickly add additional favorite locations if you want here. Just again, using the Google search function, we can search. So if I wanted to add that 10 Park Plaza as a favorite location of mine, I can go ahead and select that. I can choose what type of favorite location this is. So let's say this is my home address. So let's call it home. Confirm. And I've just added a new favorite location. A couple of other important things I want to show you in here is under your profile in Spare, there's also the payment section. So we're able to now, as Chris mentioned, you'll be able to add a credit card to the app. So you'll be able to add here under it's add payment method. We can go and add a credit card and we can use this to top up your account balance directly in the app. So that's both in the web app and in the mobile app. So very quickly, securely, you can add your credit card. And then here you can see my account balance. I have a balance of $53 here. If I select that, I can immediately top up my balance. And I can also set up auto load. So auto load is going to be a very useful feature where you can select your a threshold. So whenever you go below a certain amount, the system can automatically top up your balance for you by an amount that you determine. So you can say, when my balance drops below $10 or to $10, I want to top it up by another 10. And that way you'll always ensure that you have enough balance to ride. So those are some of the key things I wanted to show you here. One last thing I want to show you in the app before we open it up here. Give me one quick second on the other side. I'm just going to make a quick adjustment. And give it a second to load.
Jennifer, I see your hand is raised. I'm just gonna wait until the presentation's over before taking questions.
Thank you.
So bear with me one second. I'm just going to share. This is what the mobile app looks like. And I just, this very second, added in a new trip on the back end here so that you can see on the top, there's this new banner. It says vehicles arriving in 1 minute. It tells me the vehicle that's arriving. I can select that. It's going to show me the trip. It's going to show me the identifier here for the vehicle at the bottom. So I know, you know, what kind of vehicle is picking me up, and I can confirm that I'm getting on the proper vehicle as well. And just to go back a step, just to show you guys, very much this similar to the web app, but this is, you know, dedicated mobile app that you can download on the App Store. And if I click on the little calendar icon on the top right, I can see those upcoming scheduled trips. The two that I booked when I was showing you guys, and then this one here that I just booked on the back end as if I was like a track user and you had called in to book a trip. Even if they're booking the trip, you can see that all of your trips here in the app. So it doesn't matter if you booked it in the app or not, you'll be able to see all of your trips here.
I could tell Dave fell in love with it.
So pretty brief, but there's a little bit more in there that I'm excited for you guys to get your hands on. But yeah, I'll wrap it up there, and we can go to I don't know if we have questions next or what do we have next here?
Chris and Megan, should we take questions or?
Yeah, I believe that was the end of our presentation, so you can go ahead and open up for questions.
Okay, great. AJ, do you want to reshare the PowerPoint presentation? All right, if you want to next slide.
I can stop sharing here.
Okay, great. This is perfect. So now we will take questions or comments. If you would like to share a question or comment in the Zoom controls, you can click reactions and then click raise hand. On the keyboard, you can also raise or lower your hand with shortcuts, the Alt and Y key on Windows, and the Option and Y key on a MacBook. And if you're calling in, you can use the following shortcuts. You can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. And of course, you can ask questions in the chat as well. All right, I will start with Jennifer, and then I will go to a chat question.
Hi, Jennifer Smith Workman. I just want to be reassured that the new system, are you saying that once we put our credit information in, it will stay there and we don't, in other words, we don't have to get our card and re-enter anything? Is that what you're saying for the new feature for the balance and adding funds?
Yes,
Will it
yes, that will be an option.
Oh, yes, that is awesome. Awesome. That's all I want to have clarified.
It should make that easier, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. I am going to the chat for a question. Alice asked, will the items for my profile, such as having a service dog or being visually blind, be available to the driver, or will that have to be written in each time in the notes to the driver? Thank you. Tomas responded via chat saying, yes, the driver will be able to see the items you have selected, so you won't have to add them to the pickup or drop off notes. And Chris also added, you will be able to set your profile default to include a service animal for every trip booking. All right, I am going to call on Jerry.
I have a question.
Give me, Alexandria, give me 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Hi, thanks for being here tonight. And thanks for having the meeting and everything. This is Jerry Boyd from the RTAG Exec Board and Subcommittee. Tomas, since we'll already have our booking window, as soon as we book the trip, especially if we book it, online, we'll be able to see that. Will the trip times be will the booking window be the same the morning of, or will the times be adjusted based on driver schedule, traffic, and so forth on the morning of the trip, and so forth? And will we also will we still be able to see the get real-time updates as to where the vehicle is?
Yeah, fantastic question. So your booking window will always remain your booking window. So that's when you can expect your ride. When the vehicle's on its way to you, that's when you'll receive a more confirmed estimate of when they're gonna arrive, because we're gonna have we're gonna know where the vehicle is, we're gonna know where your pickup is, and we're gonna be able to calculate the time it takes to get there. So if you're booking the app, you'll be able to see in the app how far away they are. If you're not booking the app, we do have notifications set up to call or text you. I think or call, text, or email if with the notification when the vehicle's getting close. In the app itself, when the vehicle is on its way to you as well, you'll actually be able to see it on the map there, and you'll be able to see it getting close to you.
So, for example, if my pickup window is between 6:30 a.m. and is it a half an hour either way? 6:30 and 7:30, if I'm correct. The morning of, will I get a notification like, your pickup's going to arrive like at 6:50 or 6:55, something like that?
Hey, Jerry, good to see you. I can answer some of this too. Yeah, your booking, your pickup window, as we call it, will be just 30 minutes. So when you call in and say you want to be picked up at, whatever time, and then the system will generate that 30-minute window. And so that will be the time we are saying we are going to arrive in it. So it's also, essentially now our on-time window, meaning if we arrive within that window, your trip will be on time. And so the system will always be targeting to get the vehicle to pick you up in that window. You're right. It will kind of float throughout that day as the system does what we call dynamic re-optimization. So we'll be constantly trying to find the best routing solution for all the trips that are currently scheduled, that haven't been canceled, that have been added to the roster and in the previous day. But so you'll still have that 30-minute window that we gave you when you called. We will be sending out a 60-minute notification. So approximately 60 minutes before we will be arriving, or the vehicle will arrive. You will get a notification if you choose to enable it. And then we will have an arrival notification call, which will go out, or arrival notification. which will go out just before the vehicle arrives to let you know as well. So yeah, and as Tomas said, there also all that information and more will be available, the vehicle tracking through the web app and eventually the smartphone app.
So just so we're clear, say I want an arrival time or a pickup time at 7 a.m. And so my window would be from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. The time within that window will get more precise the morning of, and I'll be notified of that, or I can be notified of that if I choose to. Correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jerry. Alexandria, I'm going to call on you before moving to chat questions so that I don't.
Okay. You want me to talk now?
Sure.
Yeah. Today I booked the ride to pick me up at 11 a.m. I had a funeral to go to in Cambridge, and I got some students came to, I live in a senior building, and they came here yesterday for coffee hour and talked to us about the, questions that we have regarding the tea. And this young man got me hooked up on the texting for them to send me the texting time for when my appointment, for when they're picking me up the next day. Anyway, and that's how come I was able to, he talked to me about this meeting this evening. I didn't know about it before, and he talked to me about it and sent me the link, and that's how come. And I apologize for coming in late. I had just remembered. And my question is, today I had to go into Cambridge at 11, and the ride was coming to pick me up at 9:45. And I know they have other people to pick up, but that's almost an hour and 15 minutes I'll be driving around in the ride before I reach my destination. Why is that? And I had to cancel the trip. And the reason why I booked the trip is because the ride to go to the funeral was because of the weather and stuff like that. And I had to cancel it and go by public transportation.
Thank you. Oh, I'll let Chris take this one.
Yes, I'm sorry that happened to you. We do have some scheduling, I wouldn't say constraints, but I think the current system schedules in a specific way that I think it takes advantage of some of, well, what we're allowed to do in a way that, and in terms of how long a trip can be.
Yeah.
On the comparable travel time. And I know we do hear from customers the sort of about like the route was not the most efficient and I had to go by my destination. Some of that I think, is inherent in this being a public transit service, but part of this also is the engine that, the software system uses. And so we are anticipating that, with Spare and the new system and the fact that they are drawing from, relatively newer sources of traffic information and Google Maps and things like that, that we are anticipating improvement in the scheduling algorithm and process. So, I can't necessarily guarantee that all trips are going to be much more efficient, but it should do a much better job at routing those and trying to get you there in the most efficient way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I would just add, if you're experiencing these issues, you can also call TRAC in advance and step through the issues, because perhaps there's a specific way that you can book, that they can step you through the process. And I hate to say that new software solves all issues. It certainly doesn't. And we recognize that there will always be tweaks and adjustments. But what we do have now is more transparency where you can see information, you can make adjustments on your preferences and notifications.
Mhm.
And then Chris talked a little bit about just back-end solutions, more access to real-time information, real-time optimization, and that allows us to make corrections and adjustments sooner. Again, this isn't the solution to all of our challenges, but there are more tools on both sides that should help us deliver better service.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alexandria, and thanks for coming.
Yes, I'm glad I was able to, the student, they came by yesterday to my building at coffee hour and explained a lot of stuff to us. And he was the one who told me that if I'd like to go on to the meeting and hear what you guys have to say, I very much appreciate him doing that and thank him very much for me.
Yes, me too. And I will make sure to add you to our newsletter so that you can get information about upcoming meetings as well.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I am going to turn to the chat for 2 questions. Will withdrawing a balance be processed as it currently is? And can anyone make an account with the new app?
I'll take the second question first. Is no, that no one will not. The ride will continue to be subject to the eligibility process, and so customers will not be able to necessarily. Anyone will not be able to create an account with the ride, but anyone who is a customer will be able to log into their account, and they won't have to create an online account per se. For the first one, I'm not entirely sure what the question is getting at, but I think it will largely remain the same in that customers will have to have money in their account to be able to book a trip. And then once you have booked a trip, but before you have taken it, that money is then kind of held in reserve until your trip is completed or is canceled.
Thanks, Chris. Alan?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to comment on a trip that I had. It was about, what was it, a month ago now? Something like that. Or maybe late, maybe less. I was I believe it was with Userve. I believe the because it wasn't the traditional ride vehicle, it was like a dark blue minivan, I think. And the because the vehicle was very difficult to identify on the street because there's no no kind of like ride like markings on it. It's just a vanilla, whatever, it's just someone's personal car. So, and also because there's no real time tracking with Userve, it's just they just send you a text message when the car gets there. So, I just found that, because as a visually impaired person, it's difficult. It's kind of a hair raising, experience standing on the curb there, not knowing which vehicle is the one that's, because with the regular ride vehicle, you can very clearly tell what's a ride vehicle and what's not. But with this one, it's extremely difficult. I think they were supposed to be like the driver is supposed to display a sign on their passenger side door or something, but I don't think they didn't. There was no ride signage whatsoever on the vehicle. There was a very small transparent sticker that said Userve on the window, but that's I don't think it's barely visible. You can not see that from the sidewalk.
That's good to know. Yes, they are supposed to display, there's a magnet they're supposed to put on the side of the vehicle that says the ride. But I think this is an area, and I'm sorry I did not mention up front too, that one of the actually exciting pieces for us is for the trips that we are currently shifting, that track will shift to Userve, Uber, and Lyft. Currently, they are sort of managed separately outside of our current software system, which makes it hard for both track to really be able to access your vehicle location, and also clearly makes it difficult for customers. But because all of these will be handled now within the Spare platform, you will be able to see what they're in track on your vehicle location, and anything for a user Uber and Lyft vehicle just the same as you would for a regular ride vehicle. So that is an exciting improvement, and I think again is a big improvement for both customers and people on the other side.
Right, but also again, because it's still, because again, it's difficult to locate the
Yeah.
vehicle. Because I'm not sure. Because again, they're supposed to put a sign, but I'm not sure. Are you guys doing anything to enforce like the requirement that a driver is supposed to display a any kind of ride signage on their vehicle?
Yes, we can and do. Obviously, just that we can only see go out and audit sort of a small subset of those trips. So it is important that when customers do have that experience, that they're able to report it to us, and then we can fully investigate it and address that with the vendor as well.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan and Chris. I am going to turn to the chat again. Sorry, I do hear someone is unmuted and I can't find them. So if you're unmuted, please mute yourself. Thanks. In the chat, Ali said, a huge issue for many people, myself included, is fragrances. Is there any option to choose fragrance-free ride, which means the driver isn't wearing fragrance and the car doesn't have any air fresheners or other scented products? I think there are two responses to this. Mike Hulak from The Ride said, please report any driver that has an air freshener. Also, drivers are required to keep body spray, etc. to a minimum. Please report any instances. Our expectation is to keep fragrances to a minimum. There's no way for us to police other customers of the same. And Michelle said, unfortunately, there is no provision for fragrance-free service. It is public transportation and rides are shared. Trips, drivers, and vehicles are subject to frequent change.
That was interesting. Thank you. I think Mike and I may have been responding at the same time, but from different perspectives. So Mike, thank you for responding.
More than welcome.
Great. I will go back to the folks participating. Tom.
Hi, Tom Gilbert, RTAG executive member. I was wondering, Chris, is the new software going to improve situations where you're going to be getting picked up at places that do not have addresses, such as Hastings Park in Lexington, and I believe Lars Anderson Park in Brookline? Because my friend Mike and I had a kind of a nightmare experience of that we tried getting picked up at Hastings Park in Lexington, and his ride couldn't find us. We ended up had a canceling, and then we ended up having to go to a different area, which was the Lexington Town Pool, to get a form or address to be picked up at. And I was just wondering if in the future there'd be improvements on that, like GPS, like maybe where he's calling from his phone, or maybe a cell phone, that they can get the coordinates of where we're waiting. Because we did give a description of what we looked like. We had white canes. My other half, Christine, had a safety jacket on to tell the driver what we looked like, and the first driver just couldn't find us. And I was just wondering if there's been any improvements as far as the places with non-addresses.
Yeah, I'll take a shot at answering this, and then Tomas can jump in as well. But I think again, just from the fact that we will now be on sort of the Google Maps database of locations, we expect a lot of those sort of situations to be eliminated. I've said in other cases before, it won't be perfect, but I think it will certainly help us, in the ability to be able to search by a location name or a business name or anything that you can certainly just type into Google Maps and find it currently. But I also then think with the self-service options, when you are going to book, Tomas, can you move the map in terms of location for a pickup?
Yeah, when you're booking, you can set a pin on the map as well, so you can actually just move it around. So you can be very precise with where you're booking a trip to.
So,
So this would be primarily like on an iPhone or an Android, right? No, because Mike has a flip phone, so I don't think that would work, right?
that's right.
It'd have to be a smartphone or an Android.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, because no, I really wanted to ask that question because it was just a nightmare trying to get home that day, and it was ugh. It was a carnival, which you see, I couldn't understand that it was actually a carnival they were having there. I just couldn't understand why the first driver couldn't get it. You know, that we gave him our descriptions. We were waiting on the corner of I thought it was Massab, but it ended up being Worthing, I guess. But the fact that it was Hastings Park and there was a carnival there and they had a big, huge carnival entrance, you think that the driver would have gone around the park and just had find us, there they are, one's got a safety jacket. Myself, I have a white cane. My friend Mike has a white cane. I think they would able to do that. I mean, is that too much to ask from the drivers?
No, no, clearly, yeah, not too much, Tom. I'm not, yeah, I'm sorry that you had that experience. I'm not sure what happened there. But
Yeah.
clearly, they need to be able to locate you. And I mean, again, I mean, you're aware of those. There are some locations that are tough just because they aren't mapped to a specific address or location, but the drivers are supposed to make the effort to locate customers.
So I'll just have to tell him that if he wants that pin location, he'll have to get himself an Android or an iPhone.
Great, thanks, Tom. Okay, I'm gonna take the next 3 questions and then move on to system-wide accessibility, just to make sure that we can get through their short presentation. Again, if we don't get to you and you have more questions, you can always reach out to me. We'll make sure that you get a response. There will be more opportunities for discussion past this meeting. Linda, I saw that you put some questions in the chat and your hand is now raised, so I'm going to call on you.
Fantastic. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for holding this meeting. It is the first time that I have joined it, and other employees have told me about it. And I have really been struggling for the last 2 months with using the ride or using the few Lyft trips that I get. And I know it's important to you that we call and we voice our complaints. But when I received 2 letters that were typed out and signed by somebody, but didn't have the correct facts in them, I can't respond. And the person that responds to me is responding on the facts that someone who I told this to wrote out. What I don't understand is every single time we call in, do we get a letter from you or do we not get a letter from you? Because I'm not hearing from anybody and I've had some horrific experiences lately.
I think I'm going to jump in here. First off, I'm sorry about your experiences. I never want to hear that. And I also would like to hear that you've received responses to your satisfaction. Linda, I was trying to respond to some of your questions that you were posting in the chat. Are you a new ride customer?
No, I've been with the ride maybe 7 or 8 years, but unfortunately, I've been quite ill this year, and I've also had some visual surgeries. And, I take advantage of using Lyft because I know that when I use Lyft, they're going to come for me and I'm not going to ride around in a school bus, which you guys call not a school bus, but it opens up like a school bus and it doesn't always have AC. And when I'm riding around for an hour and a half to pick up other people, like somebody else stated, it's too much. I'm too sick. I can't do it. So when I use the ride and when I use the Lyft service, it's great. But I have 5 round trips a month and I use them within the first 3 or 4 days of the month. And several of the managers and supervisors at RTAG have said, that's ridiculous. You really, we need to help you get more. And I'm just told, well, it happens when it happens. But I messaged to Chris earlier, just individually to Chris, about a horrible experience that happened to me a month ago. And they scheduled a lift instead of the ride. And I went to the location of 170 Charles Street. Everything was fine. I got a text message. The guy was great, gave him a cash tip, gave him a tip on the app. I unfortunately could not read my own calendar and got to the place I needed to be 1 hour too late. So from 3:11 to 5:15, I'm out in front of this hotel, the Whitney Hotel, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. Now, if I could have walked a mile home, I would have, but I couldn't because I've had a respiratory problem and the most I had just walked was half a mile. So I waited all that time and I called because a manager was trying to get in touch with me. We were talking about something else that I was trying to assist him with. And somebody had called at the same time that I called. And I said, hey, I just wanted to know, I didn't get a text message about the Lyft driver. And you said today you're stating that you're going to send me 2 lifts. So she said, well, nothing's happened. And I said, well, I saw a C, but I don't know what that means. And she said, oh, well, it hasn't been canceled. And I said, oh, yes, you just canceled your ride. How the hell did I cancel a ride when I'm calling you and I'm not looking and touching the phone right now? How is that possible? The only way that you cancel a ride is by calling and telling you guys I want to cancel a ride or I want to book a ride. As far as I know, and now I'm learning a lot from all of you tonight about an app. And I just tried to put it on my phone and it didn't really go anywhere, the Spare app. But, you know, I got on the phone with 2 supervisors. I started walking a mile home. I live uphill in Beacon Hill on the other side of the State House, and I walked a mile. I tripped on a cobblestone. I broke a toe. I'm now in a walking cast for 6 straight weeks. So I can't walk even 3 blocks away, and I have to rely on the ride for my transportation. And I know that you guys know these horror stories, but it gets to the point where I don't want to keep calling customer service. I went to the Cape to see a doctor. I came back a day later. And when I got back yesterday, I waited 1 hour and 45 minutes and I never saw the ride. They called and said the ride's there and I couldn't hear them because I'm outside and there's buses and cars and taxis and it's, you know, I got in at 6:18, I'm outside at 6:30, it's, you know, 7:45. I finally take an Uber home. But the thing is I find out, oh, well, Linda, the person that booked it for you, she booked it on the piggybacking of my trip when we dropped you off at the departures. So she had it pick me up last night at departures. I did not know that. And we discussed it, she and I, when I was sitting at the gate the day before, and I said, okay, I want to just make sure that you're going to be there. And she said, yes. And she really wanted me to book it like 1 hour later. And I'm like, no, I don't want to book it 1 hour later. I'm on Cape Air. I have no luggage. So sure enough, my issue last night was the fact that an employee booked it on the same piggybacking from the one that took me to Terminal C. So that's, you know, unfortunate. She made a mistake, but the same employee has made a few other mistakes on my account. But what I did not know, and I found out last night and today, when you travel and you get back, you need to call the ride or track and you need to tell them what door you're next to. You know what? Tell me that when I'm booking. It's the first time I've used it to go to the airport. For me to not know something that basic really upsets me. And if I don't know it, how many other passengers don't know it?
Thanks, Linda.
Linda, I tried, that's a lot to unpack and I'm sorry. It sounds like that you obviously.
I'm sure it's a lot to unpack, but don't you think I have a lot to unpack? For 6 weeks, I can't walk anywhere and I have to rely on this. I broke a toe because of why? 2 supervisors kept insisting it was my fault for canceling the lift. I didn't cancel it. I found out by a written email they canceled it because they didn't have enough drivers. But for the supervisors, I said, you're not sympathetic to this at all. And to find out that Lyft canceled it, but to be blamed for canceling it because the ride didn't do it, I am upset. I've got a lot. 6 weeks of a ruined summer.
So I'm struggling with it, where to start, because there are a lot of things here. What I want you to know is that I am committed, as is our team and everybody on this call in this meeting, to getting it right. And I'm really disturbed and upset to hear about your experiences. And we can and will pull your recent trip history and take a look at what is going on, because one of the things that's important for me to do is to fully investigate an issue and to understand how it occurred and to take swift action to make sure it doesn't. And if that means we can pull audio, we can pull video footage, we can pull recent complaints, we can interview those involved. And what I'd like to do is really dig deep into your recent trips to understand what happened, but really to take swift action to ensure it doesn't happen. And it could run from refresher training to some of our reservationists to possible disciplinary action. We'll look into these issues. And then I think you were also asking about Ride Flex and Ride Flex trips. We
Yes.
reevaluate the trip allocation twice a year, and we need to balance that delicately. Because that's a separate cost, and that's not actually paratransit service. That's an augmentation or an improvement, an enhancement to allow our customers to use their discretion for a limited number of trips. But we have to carefully monitor and track how many trips are allocated to our customers. And it's certainly part of a budget concern as well. So I scribbled out a couple of items, but I am committed to having a staff member follow up with a phone call first to make sure that we've captured everything. And then we will look into it and we will follow up with you on our findings, but I expect that there will be some actions taken based on what I'm hearing from you.
Thank you. And, you know, one of the things that happened on that particular night was one of the supervisors said, well, you have the flex, you have Lyft, so why don't you just use one of your rides? And I just thought to myself, I thought a lot of things. And I just said to her, I said, do you understand how many I have? If every single day you guys keep saying, why don't you use one of your flex rides? Then you'd understand. But I only have 5 round trips and I can't take public transportation like a lot of other people because I have an immune problem. And so many other people can take public transportation and they get 20 or 40 or whatever rides. I totally understand with you how expensive that program is. And I don't blame you for not giving me an increase in rides, but I don't get why the customer service has to be so nasty and why you book a trip with someone, they're pleasant as can be, and there's all kinds of issues. Every single day there's an issue. And I'm just so tired of calling and complaining. And I
Linda-
don't want to call and complain.
That's what I would like to understand is your interactions with TRAC and our reservationists.
Okay.
Because I do think that there is an opportunity here to identify what the issue is and to identify who you're interacting with. And
That'd be great.
yeah, to
The
ensure that you're
supervisors
getting
are just
accurate
blown
information.
away by all of the issues that I keep encountering. And it's not like I'm making them up. They're like, Linda, this is on us. But again, last night, how much do you think it cost for me
Linda,
to take?
just because of time, and I don't want to cut you off, and I want to make sure that your full attention is being put on your concerns. I am gonna let Michelle's team follow up with you tomorrow. That way we can just get through the rest of the meeting, if that's okay.
Sure.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Stephen, I'll take your last question quickly, and then we'll go to the system-wide accessibility portion.
Okay, this is Damian Ruddy representing the National Federation of Blind in Massachusetts. And my 2 question is, have all these new upgrades, like with the website and the app, have they been tested with screen readers such as VoiceOver and TalkBack and JAWS and NVDA to see that they actually, once these services go live, that we will fully be able to use all the features?
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. That again, something else I neglected to mention when I was talking, but we have brought on the National Center for Accessible Media at GBH to do testing of the entire platform, both customer facing and the administrative side of this. So they have gone through and tested it all, and tested for screen reader usability. They did identify some items that we have worked to address already, and Spare has already addressed. And so we are in the process of doing sort of a second round of testing on those items. But we have gone through an extensive accessibility testing process with them.
Okay, and do you know, was there any actual blind users in this group actually giving the feedback, or were they all sighted individuals that just say, yeah, I'm testing with VoiceOver and TalkBack and JAWS?
From their side and the actual testers, I don't know that.
Because that would make a difference. Even if they're saying it is being tested, they might still miss stuff without actually being full users of screen readers.
A solid point, and which is why we have also brought in sort of focus group testing. We started with some members of the RTAG subcommittee, and I think I'm not sure who it was. Someone I hear commented to some of their experience on doing some of the testing as well. But so we have been going through the testing process with actual ride customers and people who do use a variety of assistive technologies.
Okay, and my last point, this was brought up before. How do you actually increase when you're using the flex about actually getting more a ride increase? Because I've never heard an actual answer, and usually when you email customer service, they bounce it back to the ride, and then the ride says, well, we're not sure about that, go talk to customer service. I mean, I'm grateful for getting 20 trips now with Uber. Before I was only getting 10, and then when I first started, I was only getting 2. So does it depend how many trips you're booking a month through actually the ride equals the increase? I know I heard we said like it's evaluated every twice a year. So if that could just be answered.
It's nuanced, and this, you may find this frustrating. I had mentioned earlier that it is evaluated twice a year. One of the things that we look at is how much use of the ride service people are using, but we look at all of our Ride Flex customers and usage. So it's not an exact science. We allocate and increase when we can. We do not decrease, but we also are unable to increase based on request. We really have to take a look at the entire program, customers' usage. We have to balance that with costs and our contracted service that we have. So it's a number of things that we look at. But twice a year.
Just one other follow-up. So when you start, it's always then just giving 2 because it's really, that's only like one round trip. It never is going to be like a minimum saying like at least 4 to be like 2 round trips, or again, you said it's all based on the entire Flex program.
It is. It's based on the entire Flex program, and we really have to monitor it carefully and administer it cautiously to ensure that everyone can benefit from it. And that it's our ride customers that need it most and that use the service most frequently receive the increased trips. Unfortunately, there is a cost associated with it as well.
Yeah, understandable. Thank you for the answers. Oh, just another follow-up. If I ever wanted to actually test the softwares myself when we do updates as a blind person, am I able to do that, or that's always going to be through that ARC subgroup?
We would be happy to add your name to the list of customers.
I would love it to be added.
For user acceptance testing, we can add your name to the list. I don't know
Thank
where
you.
they are right now, but I can't think of anything more important than having our customers test the software for us.
Good. If you could add my name, I would appreciate. Do I need to provide, or since it's already been here through when I signed up to participate in the meeting?
I would ask if I could get your name again.
It's Stephen Urardi. Last name is Yerardi.
And I have Steven's contact information.
Yep.
Thank
I can
you.
send it to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
You're welcome.
great. Thank you, Steven. Thanks, Ride Team. That was wonderful. AJ, if you wouldn't mind continuing the slides, that would be great. All right, perfect. I am going to hand it over to Laura to give her presentation. Thanks, Laura.
Good evening, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Laura Brelsford. I'm the Assistant General Manager of System-Wide Accessibility here at the T. My team and I work to improve the accessibility of the fixed-rate system, which includes essentially everything except our paratransit services. Before I touch on the 35th anniversary of the ADA, I did want to take a minute to talk about a very different subject, and that is the emergency evacuation that occurred on a Blue Line train set this past Wednesday. This was the subject of a great deal of news coverage, and I'm sure many of you have heard about what happened and may have questions, and I just want to fill you in a little bit.
Laura, not to interrupt you, but I think there is a slide dedicated to this. So I'm going to ask AJ to forward a couple of slides.
I think it should be the first slide, AJ, unless we're working the earlier deck.
I think it might have been moved.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think this is an earlier deck, but we'll go with it. You can go back to if you could back up one more slide just to my title slide, AJ. All right, so just for everyone's awareness, at around 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday, a Blue Line operator who was traveling between Maverick and Aquarium stations spotted a downed wire in the tunnel they were traveling in. So they immediately stopped the train, radioed in that situation to the operations control center. And the control center put a halt on service throughout the entire Blue Line. At that point, operations cut the power to the third rail, which powers our subway vehicles, and began a coordinated process of guiding people off of the train through the tunnel and then up adjacent stairways to street level. This was with a lot of assistance from Boston Fire and other first responders. There were roughly just over 450 people on the train, and everyone was evacuated safely and successfully. Boston Fire did deploy devices that are called Nolan carts, which are essentially our flatbed pieces of equipment that sit on the tracks and can travel down the right of way to bring equipment to the scene, but also to assist individuals who may not be able to navigate down the railway themselves out to the point of safety. To our knowledge, there was no one that needed significant assistance up and out of that stairway, but this is something that should it have occurred, we have policies in place for, we train for, and twice a year we host evacuation drills to evaluate the success of those policies and trainings. In addition to those carts I mentioned that the first responders have, the fire department has, on each of our subway trains, there are always 3 emergency evacuation chairs that can be used to assist folks, particularly those of us who may use wheel mobility devices, out of the train and can be carried upstairs. So I actually been meeting with folks from operations tomorrow to debrief on the success of the evacuation and to find out if there's any adjustments we need to make to either policies or trainings. Just coincidentally, I should say, earlier in the week, we were talking about getting ready for the next evacuation drill, which is coming up later this summer. and the fact that we're going to be starting to recruit people with disabilities to participate in that drill. So we'll be in touch with RTAG to help us out with that in the next several days. And I'll be certainly happy to take any questions about this when I get through the rest of this presentation. All right, so, but that was a last addition to the slide deck because it was so recent. So we will pick up with the next slide, AJ. So one thing we wanted to highlight here, and you heard Kat mention this at the outset of the meeting, on July 23rd, BCIL, as well as the city of Boston, is hosting a march and rally in recognition of the 35th anniversary of the ADA. Both the MBTA and MassDOT are planning to attend and we're planning a contingent in the march. We're also going to be providing a cooling bus down by the Boston Common for anybody who needs a break from what is looking to be a pretty warm day. Our general manager will be speaking towards the beginning of the program after the mayor at 12 p.m. after the flag raising, and then we'll join everybody for that march and then the rally at the Embrace Memorial on the Common. And then the following day, the MassDOT Board of Directors is meeting, and my team and I will be giving a presentation on all things accessibility at the T, highlighting progress that's been made in the past couple of years, as well as what's coming up over the next few years. So for anybody who's interested in joining that, we'd love to have you there. There's also an opportunity always to speak during the board's public comment period, which starts at 10 a.m. that Thursday. If you're not interested in making a comment and would prefer to watch the board presentation at home, you can always do that virtually as well. All right, next slide. All right, so speaking of some of those accessibility improvements, I just wanted to highlight a couple big milestones from really just the last week. Roughly 2 weeks ago, North Wilmington Station, a very small station in North Wilmington, opened for the first time as fully accessible. We constructed what we're calling a short full height platform. That means this is a platform that serves all of the open doors of the train sets so that there's no inaccessible low-level platform whatsoever. Everybody, regardless of whether or not you need level boarding, boards and exits from this raised platform. But because of the ridership being so low at the station, it's relatively short. It's about 200 feet instead of the standard 800 feet long raised platforms we build at larger new stations. The station also includes new modernized passenger information systems that allows our riders to receive critical information both audibly and visually. And then just this Wednesday at Winchester, we celebrated ribbon cutting of a full station opening there. This is a station that's been under construction for several years. We did a partial opening of the station late last year, but now both sides of the station and all the length of each platform are now open for business. This is a true full high-level platform. They're quite long, and we have multiple accessible ways to get to each platform. So there's a combination of elevators and ramps. And if one of those elevators should go out of service at any time, we've designed the station in such a way that you'll always have a backup to get to where you need to go. And then coming up, we don't have a date yet, but Natick Center as likely sometime in August, will be home to a ribbon cutting meeting center similar to Winchester. Is just about to unveil its full high-level platform with multiple accessible pathways and a modernized passenger information system. All right, again, on the screen there is a photo of the new North Wilmington station. You can see the raised platform there along the track bed. All right, next slide, please. And I just wanted to make folks aware of another ongoing accessibility station upgrade that will involve some minor service impacts. At Jackson Square on the Orange Line, we've just kicked off construction on an important set of improvements. Specifically, we are constructing a brand new second elevator at the station that will provide redundancy to the existing elevator. And we are fully modernizing the existing elevator. In addition to that, a lot of other accessibility upgrades will be happening at the station, including improvements to the vertical platform gaps that exist today and improved signage and wayfinding. As of right now, we're expecting the construction to last roughly 2 years and wrap up in early 2027. The secondary elevator is being constructed first, and the original elevator will remain operational for the entire time that that new elevator is being built. So there should be no loss of accessibility during the construction. But a couple things to be aware about. While construction is underway, plywood barricades will be set up around the work zones. You'll see them out there today if you visit the station. Just be aware that as the project progresses, those barricades will be relocated to appropriately secure the work zone. Also want you to be aware that with those barricades up, there will be some narrow pathways at times, anywhere between 5 to 8 feet wide. But we're always keeping an eye on that to make sure that we're providing as much flexibility in those paths as possible. And then I mentioned a second ago, one of the goals of this project is to address the vertical gaps at that station. What you'll notice if you go there today is the edges of the platform where we have detectable warning surface panels have already been raised to provide a much more level boarding experience to the train. However, the platform itself has not been raised. That will happen in phases throughout this project. With that reality, there is a slope between the edge of the platform down towards the center of the platform. There are staff on hand at all times to monitor to make sure folks are aware of this slope and provide assistance as needed. This will not be a permanent condition, but it is something that is necessary to allow us to address that vertical gap. And on the screen, you will see some of the construction activities happening at the station today. All right, next slide. All right, and here we're gonna mix things up a little bit. We wanted to provide some background today about what happens when you file a complaint about the accessibility of our fixed route system. And Lisa Weber from our team in system-wide accessibility is the perfect person to walk you through that. Because Lisa, who joined our team back in 2023, is solely focused on making sure that our complaint process is effective and that riders are getting meaningful responses, and just as importantly, that your feedback is driving positive change at the agency. So Lisa was kind enough to offer to present some information to tonight about what that process is like. Lisa, you want to pop on the screen?
Good evening. Am I all set to take over? It looks like I am. Hi, everybody. I am Lisa Weber. I'm the Customer Engagement Coordinator here at System-Wide Accessibility. I have met several of you in other capacities. I'm really excited to be here in this one, and just want to talk to you about the customer feedback process. I'm the primary point person when feedback comes to SWA, and I just wanted to go over what that means. There's different ways to send feedback to the MBTA. There's multiple departments. So we just wanted to let you know the types of feedback that come to us. So it includes, but is not limited to, stop announcements on vehicles, arrival announcements in stations, anything to do with priority seating, elevator and escalator feedback, any in-station accessibility feature, such as accessible fare gates, curb ramps, detectable warning panels, braille signs and decals at station and on vehicles. And that's just a small list. Any in-station accessibility feature would come to us. Also, we get notified of complaints regarding failure to assist with an accommodation request, denial of service to a customer with a disability, and whenever the customer indicates the concern is related to accessibility. So whether or not the person sending us this feedback self-identifies as having a disability, these should come to us anyway. Those are the topics that should come to us. Next slide, please. So now that we've talked about the types of complaints that come to us, we want to let you know how to send it. There's a few different ways, whether it's an accessibility complaint, commendation, or any kind of feedback. You can call the call center at 617-222-3200, or you can go to our website. And then the question that might happen is, what happens to my feedback after you send it? Your feedback's going to get assigned to whichever relevant MBTA area reviews it, investigates it, and acts upon it. We definitely work with other departments so that we're all working on the same feedback. Let's say it's related to a bus. Let's say it's an accessibility complaint regarding, for example, missing stop announcements. That complaint would come to us. It would also get sent directly to the bus team, and we would work together to review it, investigate it, act upon it, and provide you the information about the resolution. We also use feedback to identify trends. So we want to look at all of the complaints together and see what we are learning, drive improvements, and choose priorities. So we want your feedback. We appreciate it. Good, bad, we want to know about it. We want to know what your experiences are and what you would like them to be. In terms of responding to you, if you file the complaint by email, you will get an automated initial response. And then that's just to let you know that we've received it. You will get a final response from either us directly or the call center, or sometimes the other departments themselves, depending what it's about. You will get a final response that will let you know what the investigation led to. That's pretty much it from me. It's great to see you all. For those of you I haven't met, this is me, Customer Engagement Coordinator, point person for customer complaints at System-Wide Accessibility. And I will now turn this back over to Laura.
Thank you.
All right, I just have to say, for those who have not had the chance to work with Lisa, she is relentless in the best possible way in terms of making sure that any feedback that comes in is appropriately responded to by the various areas in the agency, and to make sure that we're providing high quality follow-ups to our riders. So Lisa, thank you so much. All right, and all right, here is the slide regarding the recent evacuation on the Blue Line. So, yeah, just to remind folks again, I think the big thing I want to emphasize here is that although that is what happened on Wednesday is by no means not the service that the MBTA wants to be providing, and a really, really scary situation for both riders and staff. That is something that we work regularly to prepare for. And again, we'll be working with RTAG to start recruiting people with disabilities, as we always do, to participate in an upcoming drill. All right, next slide. All right, and just to wrap up here, as always, I just want to remind folks that we really do want to hear from you, and there's a number of ways to do that. If you have a question about using the service or concern you want to raise, you can call our customer support line at 617-222-3200. If you're interested in particularly in learning how to ride the T or what's new in accessibility or how to sign up for reduced fare, anything like that, give our mobility center a call, and their number is 617-337-2727. We've got some great in-person options as well. Our Charlie Service Center is a one-stop shop for anything fare related. And again, our mobility center is a place you can go in person to get help with all sorts of things, and they're located currently at 1000 Mass Ave. And finally, we've got a ton of resources online if you're just interested in learning more, both at our main accessibility page, mbta.com/accessibility. And when you were there, you can find our latest initiative reports or sign up for monthly newsletters and more. And next slide. All right, I think that is it. I hope to see many of you next Wednesday at the March in honor of the 35th anniversary. But in the meantime, I'm happy to take any comments or questions.
Great. Thank you, Laura and Lisa. We only have about 10 minutes, so we can take a couple of questions. But just to remind folks, you can click reactions and then click raise hand. Using the keyboard, you can click the Alt and Y keys on Windows and Option and Y keys on Macs. And on the phone, you can click *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. And we'll see how many we can get through. But again, just because we have ASL interpreters up until 7:30, we will have to end the meeting at that time. But we can always take questions via email or phone following this meeting or tomorrow. So I'll start with Sue.
Good evening. My name is Sue. I've been a rider since 1987. I've been on many committees and am also trained as a volunteer access monitor by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I want to say firstly, and Lisa, hi, you're wonderful. Your drivers are amazing. Your call takers, for the most part, have been pretty wonderful. Everybody thinks technology is the end all be all. And people forget that we all, there are different levels of disabilities, and some people have multiple disabilities. I have been trying to use the MBTA's website, and I don't know on what browser it was meant for. I use Edge, I've used Firefox. And I will tell you, trying to find things is more than difficult because there's lack of high contrast everywhere, even in this presentation, which is disappointing. Everybody thinks visual impairment is just size. It's more than just a size issue of font. And I hope people will please keep that in mind. I've also done web development myself. And surprised, well, and not so surprised because I've been working with Joe Galuccio of the Commonwealth to try to finally address the Commonwealth's website. I hope you folks will please take a look at the issues with the website. And when you call in and say you have a problem and somebody says, well, just get on your smartphone and look up something. Well, not everybody can see everything and not everybody can hear everything. One lady was in her predicament, and again, she said there was extraneous background noise. That's frequent with a lot of us. We're in places that have a lot of noise. And I hope people will take that into consideration. But I hope the big anniversary 35 that we get with it and make this more accessible would be really great. And Chris, I hope you give me a shout so we can discuss some other things more in depth. Thank you very much for your time. And I'm so grateful for this meeting. It's great. And I hope this continues. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Sue, I just want to thank you for raising the issue of digital accessibility. This is something that has become much more of a meaningful area of focus over the last few years throughout the MBTA. In fact, we're planning to hire a dedicated digital accessibility lead within our team later this year. But certainly, as you are highlighting, there's work to do. If you don't mind, I'd love to get in touch to talk a little bit more about specific concerns about our website, because our web team is really committed to getting accessibility right. And I'd love to pass on some specific feedback if you're able to share.
Great. Thanks, Laura and Sue. Rebecca?
Good evening, everybody. I am a disabled veteran that uses a four-wheel scooter. It is not easy to get on and off the ride equipment or the buses with it. And when I went to the center to register and get it weighed and everything else, I was told it should fit no problem at all. Why? I don't know who does the vehicle purchasing or research. Is there customers' involvement in it? Because
I
one
think this is a
example,
question for the ride, correct?
yes.
Okay.
All right. Hold on, let's see if I can go back on video. I'm having some trouble with my camera. Okay, Rebecca, I think I'm on video again. So it's Michelle Styler, Chief of Paratransit Services. And I can tell you at the time that we purchased the vehicles, we purchased vehicles with lifts that exceeded the minimum standard. That doesn't mean we're done. We are looking into procuring new vehicles, and with each procurement, there are opportunities to upgrade and update. And we're exploring what options are out there and how we can improve customer experience and comfort, as well as safety. That being said, our drivers should be able to secure your wheeled mobility device if it's been measured at the mobility center. So this is yet another one, and I hate to say it, but I would love to get your information to take a look at your trips to identify what the challenges are.
I've only taken one trip, and
Okay.
it took me 15 minutes to navigate it to get off the bus, off the ride. It's just because of the way the lift is situated and the equipment that's on the vehicle. Now,
Okay. I initially thought it was a driver that was having
no,
trouble.
it wasn't. The driver was fantastic.
Okay, that's great to hear.
All right. He apologized. He says he knows about the problems. They even supposedly bring it up. What I wanted to bring up is the VA. I use their wheelchair assist vent and they load from the back.
Mhm.
It's much easier. Instead of trying to turn a tight turn, it's not that big of a scooter, but it's just big enough to have problems. One thing I wish the T would look into is a rear entry. That way you drive straight on.
We are absolutely committed to purchasing the best vehicles we can to accommodate our customers and are actively researching. As a matter of fact, our team will have a field trip to another agency to take a look at what they're operating. So that's on our radar, and we're looking at that right now. Thank
I'll
you for
give
sharing your
you-
concern.
I'll give you the name of the company that the VA uses, and that's Alternate Transportation. And it is nice to drive straight on.
Mhm.
All right. I'm just looking if we can have input on some of these decisions.
And RTAG members have in the past, and we intend to include them in these discussions as well.
Mhm. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca. Tom, you have such easy access to me all the time. So I'm going to ask you to call me tomorrow, if that's okay, so that we could wrap up this meeting.
Oh, time's running out. Okay.
Yep. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think you all know what it's about anyway, because I've talked to Jennifer and you and Ellis, so yeah, I think
Okay.
you know what I want to talk about. So
Okay, well, we'll follow up tomorrow, okay?
okay, thanks, Kat.
Appreciate it, Tom. All right, we can go to the last slide, I believe. Okay, great. Just for folks who are new and want to continue to stay involved with RTAG, for folks and also who didn't get to share comments today, you can always contact me by phone at 978-893-8100. And also this information is online if you look up RTAG BCIL or RTAG MBTA. My email is rtagboston@bostoncil.org. And there's also a link in the chat to sign up for the RTAG newsletter. We send out a monthly newsletter with updates on the work that we're doing and information about upcoming meetings. And again, just final reminders, the ADA 35 rally next Wednesday at noon at City Hall Plaza. And the following day, there will be a presentation on accessibility at the MBTA Board of Directors meeting. And I believe that's the last slide. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to the RIDE team. Thank you, Tomas, for your demo. Thank you to System-Wide Accessibility. And thank you to all of you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Kat. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a
Good
great night.
night.
Thank you.
So much.